Hello students, in this part, this is part 2. In this part we will discuss the questions and answers of the text. But before that, let us discuss some of the expressions given on the very first page of your text. Expression number 1, the thought was almost revolting. Answer, the thought that the author's grandmother was once young and pretty raises a doubt in the mind of the author. He finds it too hard to believe, as he had always seen her in the same old and wrinkled physical condition for the last 20 years. क्योंकि राइटर ऑथर एक छोटा बच्चा है जो गांव में अपने दादी माँ के साथ रह रहा होता है, एंड ही इज़ नाउ 20 years old, एंड फॉर लास्ट 20 years, पिछले 20 years से अपने ग्रैंड मदर को वो एक ही फिज़िकल कंडीशन में देख रहा होता है, एक्सट्रीमली ओल्ड. तो उसके माइंड में ये बात आती है कि वो कभी तो जवान हुई ही नहीं होगी. तो जब, क्योंकि वो फॉर लास्ट 20 years ही वॉज वाचिंग हर इन द सेम एक्सट्रीमली ओल्ड कंडीशन, एंड दैट्स वाई जब कभी भी ये सुनता है या वो कहती हैं खुद से, उसको बताती हैं कि हम कभी काफ़ी जवान थे, अपने यूथफुल डेज़ की बात करती हैं, तो द थॉट वाज ऑलमोस्ट रिवोल्टिंग, बिल्कुल भी वो विश्वास नहीं कर पाता. एक्सप्रेशन नंबर 2, एन एक्सपेंस ऑफ प्योर वाइट सेरेनिटी. Answer, it refers to the calm, peaceful and serene character and conduct of the author's grandmother. She is compared to the peaceful winter landscape in the mountains. She was always attired in spotless white clothes and had silver hair. She thus presented a picture of pure white serenity. उसको देखने से, ग्रैंडमदर को देखने से वो बिल्कुल भी प्योर वाइट सेरेनिटी दिखती है, और वो इनके फेस को विंटर लैंडस्केप से कंपेयर करता है राइटर. वो इसलिए कि वो हमेशा स्पॉटलेस वाइट क्लोथ्स में होती हैं, और उनके सिर के सारे बाल भी वाइट हो चुके होते हैं, और वो काफ़ी रिलीजियस हैं, काफ़ी काम दिखती हैं. तो इसलिए बिल्कुल भी एन एक्सपेंस ऑफ प्योर वाइट सेरेनिटी लगता है उनको देख के. नंबर 3, अ टर्निंग पॉइंट. एंड ऑलरेडी आई हैव गिवन यू ए क्वेश्चन, व्हाट वाज द टर्निंग पॉइंट द ऑथर टॉक्स अबाउट. तो ये टर्निंग पॉइंट क्या है? इट रेफर्स टू द पॉइंट वेयर द ऑथर्स रिलेशनशिप विद हिज ग्रैंड मदर चेंजेस ड्रास्टिकली आफ्टर दे मूव टू द सिटी हाउस. द ग्रैंड मदर इज अनेबल टू accompany the author to school as he travels by motor bus. Neither is she able to help him in his lessons. Although they share the same room, a sort of distancing occurred in the relationship. जब वो गांव में दोनों होते हैं, राइटर और उनकी ग्रैंड मदर, तो दे वर द बेस्ट फ्रेंड्स. लेकिन वो जब शहर में आते हैं तो शहर में उसका एडमिशन इंग्लिश स्कूल में हो जाता है, और अब वो बस से स्कूल जाता है, आता है. तो अब वो अपने ग्रैंड सन के साथ वो स्कूल नहीं जा पाती, और उसे उसके लेसन्स में भी हेल्प नहीं कर पाती हैं, क्योंकि अब वो इंग्लिश मीडियम स्कूल में इंग्लिश, मैथ्स और साइंस की पढ़ाई कर रहा होता है. और तो दैट वाज द टर्निंग पॉइंट ही टॉक्स अबाउट, और इसी टर्निंग पॉइंट की बात अथर करता है. नेक्स्ट, एक्सेप्टेड हर seclusion with resignation. This shows the author's grandmother's passive submission to her secluded life after she gradually loses touch with her grandson. When the author was given a room of his own, the common link of friendship between the two was snapped. However, the grandmother accepted her fate without complaint. She rarely talked to anyone in the house and was busy spinning the wheel and reciting her prayers. Even when she relaxed, it was to feed the sparrows. और accepted her seclusion with resignation. वो अब अकेले रहने लगी थी और इसमें वो किसी को उनका कोई कंप्लेंट भी नहीं था. वो उन्होंने खुद से एक्सेप्ट उसको कर लिया, क्योंकि स्कूल की स्टडीज़ ख़त्म होने के बाद यूनिवर्सिटी में जब अथर राइटर का एडमिशन होता है तो उसे एक सेपरेट रूम दे दिया जाता है और अब उसकी सीरियस पढ़ाई हो जाती है तो वो एक दूसरे के साथ वो ज़्यादा टाइम शेयर नहीं कर पाते और इस सेपरेशन को वो एक्सेप्ट कर लेती हैं क्योंकि वो दादी माँ होती हैं. भले ही वो बच्चे के साथ इतना अटैच्ड हैं फिर भी वो उसका भला ही चाहती हैं और उनको लगता है कि अभी सेपरेट रूम देना नीड ऑफ द आवर है उसके लिए, उसके भले के लिए है और इसलिए मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम वो अपने को स्पिनिंग व्हील के साथ इंगेज रखती हैं, प्रेयर करती हैं. एंड फॉर हाफ एन आवर शी यूज्ड टू फीड द स्पैरोज. तो इस तरह से वो अपना समय बिताती हैं शहर में. नेक्स्ट, ए वेरिटेबल बेडलम ऑफ chirpings. It refers to the noise, confusion and chaos caused by the chirping of the sparrows that scattered and passed around the author's grandmother. The grandmother sat in the veranda and broke the bread into little bits and threw it to the sparrows. Hundreds of sparrows collected around her and created a noisy by their continuous chirping. तो ए वेरिटेबल बेडलम ऑफ चर्पिंग्स, ये उस समय की बात करता है जब एवरी डे फॉर हाफ एन आवर द ग्रैंड मदर यूज टू फीड द स्पैरोज. वो आधे घंटे तक स्पैरोज को रोटी की टुकड़े खिलाती रहती हैं और जैसे एक माँ अपने बच्चों को तोड़ तोड़ के रोटी देती हैं उस तरह से वो रोटी के टुकड़े को वो बहुत ही छोटा छोटा करके और स्पैरोज़ को देती हैं और स्पैरोज़ बिल्कुल भी उनसे नहीं डरती और बिल्कुल एक बच्चे और मदर के बीच का जो रिलेशनशिप होता है वही रिलेशनशिप स्पैरोज़ ने हंड्रेड्स ऑफ स्पैरोज़ ग्रैंड मदर के साथ डेवलप कर रखी हैं और उनका सिर से लेके पैर तक वो बैठी रहती हैं और वो चर्पिंग नॉइज़ करती रहती हैं ची ची करके और दैट्स व्हाट ए वेरिटेबल बेडलम ऑफ चर्पिंग इज रेफर्ड हियर. नेक्स्ट, frivolous rebukes. It refers to the casual and light-hearted rebukes of the grandmother to the sparrows. That day she realized that she would die and so was having some fun with the sparrows by scolding them for some mistakes. The grandmother had developed a special bond with the sparrows. The sparrows came in huge numbers and the grandmother fed them with little bits of bread. Sometimes she also used to scold them. The sparrows perched on her legs, shoulders, and even sat on her head, but she smiled and never shooed them away. और frivolous rebukes, इसको प्यार के साथ जो मदर अपने बच्चे को थोड़ी सी डांट देती हैं और उस डांट में भी मदर का प्यार ही दिखता है. तो उसी तरह का एक स्पेशल बॉन्ड डेवलप हो जाता है ग्रैंड मदर और उन हंड्रेड्स ऑफ स्पैरोज़ के बीच में, और बिल्कुल अपने बच्चे की तरह उनको डांटती हैं, उनको खिलाते भी हैं। और सारे स्पैरोज़ सिर से लेके और पूरे बॉडी में, पैर से लेके सिर तक, कंधों पे, और बैठी रहती हैं और चींची करती रहती हैं, और वह उनको हल्के हल्के प्यार करती रहती हैं। तो इट शोज़ ओनली अ बॉन्ड ऑफ लव between grandmother and the sparrows, and that was the happiest moment of the day for the grandmother. सबसे खूबसूरत लम्हा होता है दिन का आधा घंटा जब वो स्पैरोज़ के साथ उनको खाना खिलाते हुए बिताती हैं। तो फ्रिवलस रिब्यूक्स, हल्के से एक मदरली केयर वो लेती हैं, जैसे माँ डांटती हैं बच्चों को, खाना खा लो, इस तरह से। नेक्स्ट, द सेजिंग स्किन्स ऑफ द dilapidated drum. It points to the shabby and deteriorated condition of the drum. The grandmother celebrated the homecoming of the other by collecting the women of the neighborhood and getting an old drum. For several hours she beat the worn out drum and sang the songs related to the homecoming of barriers. Or the sagging skins of dilapidated drum. After 5 years spending abroad for higher studies, जब ग्रैंडसन, जब राइटर लौटता है वापस अपने घर, तो ग्रैंड मदर काफ़ी खुश होती हैं उसे देख के वापस, और उस खुशी को वो काफ़ी सेलिब्रेट करती हैं। शाम में नेबरहुड के वीमेन को इकट्ठा करती हैं, और एक पुराना सा बैड कंडीशन वाला ड्रम होता है उनके पास, और पूरे देर तक वो गाती हैं, बजाती हैं, और अपने को बिल्कुल भी वो रोक नहीं पाती, और वो अपने हेल्थ का भी ख्याल उस दिन उनको नहीं रहता है। एंड फर्स्ट टाइम पर हैव्स सी फॉरगॉट ऑफ हर प्रेयर, वो प्रेयर भी करना भूल जाती हैं, और इस तरह से अपने जो ग्रैंड सन है उसके घर आने की खुशी को वो सेलिब्रेट करती हैं उस डिलापिडेटेड ड्रम के साथ, अपने आसपास की वीमेन को इकट्ठा करके खूब गाती हैं और वो ड्रम को बजाती हैं। एंड नाउ द क्वेश्चन आंसर्स, वी कैन स्टार्ट विथ अंडरस्टैंडिंग द टेक्स्ट. क्वेश्चन नंबर 1, मेंशन द 3 phases of the author's relationship with his grandmother before he left the country to study abroad. पढ़ाई के लिए एब्रोड जाने से पहले 3 phases of relationship. What are the 3 phases of relationship between the writer and his grandmother? Answer: the first phase of the first phase of the author's relationship with his grandmother was when the author's parents went to live in the city and left him with his grandmother. She took utmost care of him right from waking him up in the morning to getting him ready for school. They were always together and enjoyed an easy companionship. The second phase was when the author's parents asked them to come to the city. This was the time when Kushwant Singh's relationship with his grandmother changed. This was the turning point he talks about. The author went to an English school. She could no longer accompany him, nor could she help him in his studies. She continued getting him ready for school and asking him about his studies. As they shared the same room, however, she rarely talked to him after learning that he was learning music at school. Slowly, the friendship between them weakened. And the third phase came when the common link of friendship, the room they shared, snapped when the author moved to the university and was given a room of his own. His grandmother accepted her seclusion with resignation. Question number 2. When mention 3 reasons why the author's grandmother was disturbed when he started going to the city school. Answer. The author's grandmother was disturbed when he started going to the city school because number 1, she could not go with him to leave him to school as he went in the school bus. This broke her connection with the author and disturbed her. Question number 2. In the English school, she could not help him with his lessons in English and science because she neither knew English nor science. Thus, she had no faith in what was being taught there, and thus she was disturbed. Number 3. She was unhappy that there was no teaching about God and the scriptures in the school. Instead, music was being taught, which to her had indecent associations. This disturbed her the most. जब ग्रैंड मदर को पता होता है कि उसे स्कूल में म्यूजिक भी सिखाया जाता है, म्यूजिक लेसन्स भी होता है, काफ़ी डिस्टर्ब फील करती है क्योंकि म्यूजिक फॉर द ग्रैंड मदर वाज ए मीन एक्ट. जैसे नाचने गाने वाले को समाज के नीचे कैटेगरी को वो मानती हैं, उस टाइप से वो फील करती हैं एंड शी इज़ वेरी मच डिस्टर्ब्ड टू नो. क्वेश्चन नंबर 3. Mention 3 ways in which the author's grandmother spent her days after he grew up. Answer. The 3 ways in which the author's grandmother spent her days after he grew up were: she now spent most of her time at her spinning wheel, a spinning thread. While spinning, she continued reciting her prayers, rarely leaving her spinning to talk to anyone. During the afternoons, she relaxed for a while to feed the sparrows. While she sat in the veranda breaking the bread into little bits, hundreds of little birds collected around her. It used to be the happiest half hour of the day for her. So these were the 3 ways she used to spend her days in the city. Question number 4. Mention the odd way in which the author's grandmother behaved just before she died. Answer. Just before the day the grandmother died, a change came over her. She did not pray. She collected the women of the neighborhood, took an old drum and started singing. Next morning, she was taken ill due to overstraining. The doctor said it was a mild fever and will go away, but the grandmother thought differently. She told everyone that her end was near and she would spend the last few living moments in prayer and would not waste her time in talking to anyone. She lay peacefully in bed, praying, and before anyone could suspect, her lips stopped moving. She passed away peacefully. Question number 5. Mention the way in which the sparrows expressed their sorrow when the author's grandmother died. Answer. In the evening, when the author and his family members went to grandmother's room to take her for the last rites, they saw thousands of sparrows sitting scattered on the floor near her. They were silent. There was no chirping. The author's mother offered them some bread, but the sparrows took no notice. After the grandmother's body was taken away, the sparrows flew away quietly. Thus the sparrows mourned her death and paid their silent tribute to the grandmother in a unique manner. And now the questions about the text. Question number 1. The author's grandmother was a religious person. What are the different ways in which we come to know this? Answer. The author's grandmother was a truly religious lady. She hovered about the house in her spotless white clothes, always counting the beads of her rosary and reciting prayers. When the author was in the village with her, he would always find her saying morning prayers while she bathed him and dressed him in the hope that her grandson would learn them by heart. The grandmother would always go to the village school with her grandson because the school was attached to the temple. While the children were taught, the grandmother would sit inside the temple and read scriptures. When they moved to the city and the author got busy in his education, she started devoting her time to prayers. He always found her lips moving in silent prayer and her hands counting the beads of her rosary. She was doing the same when she went to receive him at the station when he came back from studying abroad. The last moments of her life were spent in praying rather than talking to her family members. All these instances show that the grandmother was a religious person. Question number 2. Describe the changing relationship between the author and his grandmother. Did their feelings for each other change? Answer. Changing circumstances affected the relationship between the author and his grandmother. In the village, the author and his grandmother spent most of their time together. She used to get him ready for school, accompany him to the school, and helped him in his studies. But moving to the city proved to be a turning point in their friendship. They still shared the same room, but the grandmother could no longer accompany him to school or help him in his studies. The grandmother did not like the kind of education being given to the author at the English school. She became disturbed and rarely talked. She reconciled herself with spinning and feeding the sparrows. The gap in their friendship was further widened when the author went to the university and was given a room of his own. She accepted her loneliness and gave more time to praying. However, their feelings for each other never changed. The author still respected her and she kept on loving her grandson. She went to the station to see him off when he was going abroad for higher studies. Further, when he returned home from abroad after 5 years, she celebrated his homecoming by singing songs and beating the drum. Question number 3. Would you agree that the author's grandmother was a person strong in character? If yes, give instances to show this. Answer yes. It is true that the author's grandmother was a very strong personality. She was a highly religious and conservative lady who hated modern views and ways. She had very strong personal likes and dislikes. Being a religious lady and a widow, she could be seen hobbing about the house in a spotless white dress, counting and reciting the beads of her rosary. She had certain rigid ideas about life. She liked the village school as it was attached to the temple and children were taught prayers and about God. She hated the English school in the city for various reasons. When she came to know about the music lessons there, she rarely talked to the author. Moreover, when the author was leaving for abroad, she showed no emotion and was not even sentimental. She was a strong and determined character as she led her own kind of life and never compromised with her principles. She loved the narrator deeply but never showed her sentiments or emotions. Even when she knew that she was dying, her strength of character did not allow her to show any sorrow or regret. All this shows that she was strong in character. Question number 4. Have you known someone like the author's grandmother? Do you feel the same sense of loss with regard to someone whom you have loved and lost? Your questions may vary, but one simple answers are being given here. One simple answer is being given here. Yes, I have known someone like the author's grandmother. She was none other than my own grandmother. She was old but not as old as the author's grandmother. Neither did she wear white. She was also fat and hobbled around the house, but she had a very strong voice. She was very religious and fasted a lot. I was very close to her and we shared a very strong bond. Since the time I can remember, I had seen her taking care of my small needs. She loved me unconditionally. She was one of my closest friends, and we also had secrets. If someone scolded me, I would run straight to her and she would hug me. The sweetest gesture of her was hiding foodstuffs from others so that I could eat them. After she died, her death left a void in my life which I have been unable to fill. Even while writing about her, I have tears in my eyes. I miss her presence a lot. I will always cherish the moments that I shared with her. Thank you.